Advertisement is one of the most important forms in the media industry, with television seeming to be the most effective in this century. This change has brought around more profits for companies as they can target an even wider audience than just using print advertisement. It also allows for active discussions and debates to happen between any part of society, such as friends and family, media professionals and academics. With these discussions, it also means that companies have advertised well, due to topical debates happening around their product. Additionally, without TV adverts, we would have no TV at all, as they're run on a free-to-air policy. In this essay, I'll discuss the relationships between audiences, mediums, and the message companies try to portray, and also analysing the structures, techniques, and characteristics and how characteristics work within these TV adverts. When companies go out to make their advert, they start by doing primary and secondary research. They separate their audience into segments such as age, gender, and ethnicity. They then break down these segments even further into personas. Personas are a way of companies finding out a more in-depth background information into their audiences, such as what shops they go to, what cars they drive, and what media they consume, such as TV, channels, and music. These companies then try to create shared values and experiences through their advertisements. This is called storyscaping. They want to have a close personal relationship with their audience by what their audience deems to be significant, for example, sustainability. By doing this, it creates the impression to the consumers that the company really knows what they want from their product, and then they become more inclined to buy their product, therefore meaning that they're appealing to an instinct and emotion. They aim to create the feeling that an instinct or an emotion can be cured through the use of the product. These instincts can be acquisitive, sexual, herd, love, maternal love, or any fears. Each social group in society has deep-seated needs and fears and weaknesses. Companies then target these to make an advert that can solve these fears for them. An example of this is the 1980s OXO Cube advert. They've narrowed down their target audience to be women and families in the full Nest 2 social class. Specifically women, as they're the main ones who feel targeted by advertising, due to them being typically the ones who go out and buy the product for the family. It starts off with a mother preparing dinner for her family, showing the subliminal message of the fact that the women are the homemakers of the household. Sound effects of vegetables being cut and dialogue being used throughout the advert also shows the story OXO are trying to create. At the end of the advert, the mother has changed outfits into a typical 1950s housewife, but her children are all dressed the same from the beginning of the advert. She then carries dinner out to her family sat around the table. She answers questions her children were about to ask without them asking, and tells them that everyone will love it, implying that she knows that OXO is what every family would love. The product itself isn't spoken about and isn't shown a lot throughout the advert, nor is it said what the product is about. This is surprising, as audiences would expect to know what the advert is about within the first few seconds of it being on. However, you have to wait until the advert is halfway through to know that it is for OXO. Additionally, there is no slogan or jingle used in this advert, which doesn't follow typical conventions of TV adverts. Another example of this is the First Flake advert. They, again, are using women as their target audience. However, as the product is sexualised within the advert by using the shot types, the story they want to portray, and the romantic music bed they put in, it appeals to a male target audience as well, due to the attractive women making the product seem more appealing to buy. It's specifically targeted at singles from all social classes. Although it is the First Flake advert, you would think that they would have made a slogan for the new product, which would have meant they would be following conventions of TV adverts. Instead, they just repeat what the product is, which appeals to a target audience. These two adverts follow the 6 conventions of advertisement, as advertising is a key part of popular culture, and it now has to reflect how women in society have changed over the decades. These include the bit part, which is usually when the woman provides variety in the advert. Then there's the fraught juggler, who's the typical working mum with too much to do, who isn't happy. The unattainable goddess, who's the perfect woman to aspire to rather than men aspiring to want her. The domestic obsessive, who is energised with the issues in her home, like cleaning. The selfless nurturer, which is like the OxoCude advert. She is self-sacrificing, maternal, and she subsumes her own needs for her family. And lastly, the sex object, like the flake advert, as she is one-dimensional desirable, down to how she seduces the audience. However, even though these roles of women have decreased over the past few years in TV adverts, companies know that sex still sells and will use their method to get their target audience. However, some argue that adverts are based on outdated stereotypes, whereas advertisers claim that they are reflecting real life as audiences recognise and believe the content, although 40% of women say that they don't identify with the portrayal in their adverts. Companies are now trying to stand out against others to try and describe and show what it's like to be a modern day woman. An example of this is Sport England with the campaign This Girl Can. It features women of all ages across the UK showing them having fun whilst exercising, in a way to tell women that it doesn't matter how you look when you're being active and healthy. This is just one way in which TV advertising has evolved. Some of the other ways are that companies now want to create the idea that they're doing social good, being sustainable and ethical, like Pampers using the campaign of 1 pack equals 1 vaccine. Generation Z now demanding brands to also act as a global citizen and more beyond marketing for good. By companies being more sustainable and ethical, they can then create new products which are high quality, using old recycled materials and then are affordable for their target audience, just like Adidas, who now use recycled materials in their clothes and shoes. By doing this, companies have to do it in a way which is desired by their consumers, which allows them to possibly engage with it more. This means that companies have to be relative in order for their audience to listen, watch, and engage with what their product is and what they're trying to sell. However, you can argue that this encourages companies to produce anti-news, as they're not informing you, they're just promoting and misleading selfishness for them, due to them knowing what the general society wants. TV adverts are described by Philip Adams as 30-second pieces of cultural baggage. This helps some companies know what to include in their advert, and in order for it to be successful. In the milk tray skier advert, this idea comes to mind, with John Thompson's idea of being decorative and irrational advertisement working on the audience. Cadbury used an image that the advisor wishes to give the product. In this case, a James Bond type of man going through a storm in the snow, with dramatic music and visual effects, which conform to conventions of TV adverts. Just to give a milk tray to a woman, with the tagline being, "Or the lady who loves milk tray." Also, the idea of a strong, powerful man in this advert generates the stereotypical man going through any condition to give woman what she wants. This product is also encouraging their target audience to buy more than they need, as it shows the quality of life they know their target audience wants, who are singles in the A and B social classes, due to the reference of James Bond. Additionally, this is a sort of idea shown in the 1970s Hovis adverts, with men being the typical breadwinner providing for their families. However, in the adverts, they're reflecting on wartime, with war-style music in the background and similar ideologies. But Hovis are providing a personal touch to their slogan, as the audience knows that the product hasn't changed since it first started, giving the brand something that their consumers will recognise, which follows the typical conventions of TV adverts. In this advert, however, a lot of voiceover is being used in comparison to the previous adverts mentioned. The footage seems like a story, which should include dialogue, but instead is being told through the use of a voiceover. I have found that when watching TV adverts, they need to be clear who their target audience is. If they don't, then their product won't have a clear selling point. Additionally, they need to make sure that the construction of their adverts follow typical conventions and sticks to their product type, including the right mise-en-scène to create the right imagery.